All right, I am 2 seconds in. We're recording things.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm like 5 seconds in now.
8. Holy crap! This
10.
might be a podcast someday.
Oh man. It's gonna be like bloopers.
All right. Well, do we want to, in case we ever do post this junk, do you want to introduce yourself?
Welcome everybody to SlipAngle. See how professional that sounded, right?
Oh,
Right?
Man.
Yeah.
With that radio voice.
I've been practicing that in the car for the past week, like just driving down the road.
Got nothing better to do.
Welcome, listeners. This is SlipAngle. And then you have your intro music.
Yeah, which we're gonna probably steal from someone and not pay them.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Okay,
not gonna
yeah.
pay.
So.
Well, I'm Adam, and that's Austin.
Hello.
And how long have you been tracking cars, Austin?
Since 2010, 2011 sometime.
Man,
I'm a baby.
How'd you get so much faster than all of us?
Stupidity.
Well, how old were you when you started?
22. I did my first track day at 22 in May, like 3 weeks after I graduated.
Yep.
And then wrecked the car on the interstate like 2 weeks after that.
Was that your S2000 that you started with?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's all done to your S2000? You got some fancy ASTs and all that crap on it?
No, man, it's got some cheap coilovers on it.
Oh, I thought you had fancy coilovers. Or was that was on your FRS?
Yeah, that was on the FRS.
Yeah, that's
which
right.
I also had for those of you listeners that did not know.
Yeah.
And I had a Miata that everybody drove. Literally, I think everybody. Did you ever drive it?
Yeah, I was in that for one session. I was in your FRS for one session a couple years ago. I didn't drive that, though. I instructed the old Gingerman track manager, Josh, because he had never really driven his own racetrack.
That's right.
And you gave him your car with pimp suspension.
I've got a problem with giving out keys to my car.
Yeah, you ruined a lot of lives with that Miata, man.
Oh, dude, the Miata was so great, though.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a simple... Was that a 1.6 Miata?
No, it was a 1.8. It was the first year of the 1.8.
What is that, 94 then, or 95?
Yeah, it was a 94.
Yeah, that thing was so fun.
And I did not do anything to it. I changed the oil like twice.
Yeah,
I put one set of tires on it, one set of brakes when I first got it, and that's it.
I remember when you showed up to Mid-Ohio with it, and everybody's like, how come Austin didn't bring his S2000 with, like, the wrap and all the cool-looking everything? And he brought this Miata, and then everybody sessioned the snot out of it.
It was great, man.
Yeah, that was solid, man.
It was so much fun.
I think that was a breaking point for Mr. Calzada, the K Miata CEO now.
Oh, I just realized that rhymes.
Yeah, this Mr. Calzada.
With the Miata.
From K Miata.
Man.
Yeah, I think that was what made him buy his first Miata, was driving at that ITR Expo event or whatever that was.
Yeah, and I think that's what made Jason Kohler switch from the S2000 to the Miata as well.
I thought he had one before that.
No, it was in the back of his mind, but I reneged on an agreement that I had with him and Aaron Lichty about building a PTE Miata, which went on to become the first K Miata.
Yeah, that was a terrible car.
It was. It would have been an awesome race car.
Anyway, well, I'm if we ever do publish this, I'm Adam Jabay, and I do not play with these rear-wheel drive cars we're talking about.
Front-wheel drive only.
I only play with stupid front-wheel drive cars.
And all-wheel drive Hondas. Occasionally.
Yeah, we have built an all-wheel drive Honda. That's true.
There you go.
I race a car in SCCA, an old CRX, and Super Touring Light now. It used to be an Improved Touring A, and I'm so mediocre at it still that every time I go out, I drop about half a second around Gingerman, which is our benchmark track. That's how long it takes to get used to the absolute rotation you need with a CRX in order to go fast. You have to be able to hit wide open throttle all the time.
It's like an on-off switch, right?
Yeah, or else you're driving slow. If you're not floored, it's terrible. But yeah, I am thinking about building one of the K Miatas that I'm sure we'll be talking about a lot on this.
That would be pretty sweet. You know what you need to do for your car? You need to just put like an actuator on the pedal that either gives it like all throttle or nothing. Just convert it to like drive-by-wire, and it'd be like 100% throttle or no throttle at all.
Just a switch.
It'd be perfect.
Just turn it on, 100%. That's really kind of how it is, though. You're at full braking. You know, you have to ease into the braking a little bit in some.
No ABS, right?
Oh, no ABS.
Yeah.
You got to ease onto the braking a little bit at first, and then otherwise the back end comes around a little bit because they're kind of twitchy cars. And then you have to, as soon as you get off the brakes, you must be wide open throttle.
Now, is that pretty typical of like short wheelbase Hondas when you without ABS, like to where they're real loose in the rear? Because I drove Dills at Mid Ohio at ITR Expo, and that thing wanted to kill me going down at the end of the back straight.
The end of the back straight, my car is actually pretty composed, unless I'm getting like I have to lube my caliper slides a lot on that car.
Okay.
And the front, and if I haven't done that for a while, then it can walk back and forth a little bit. Like once a weekend, I have to do it.
Okay.
But the rear brakes don't do a whole lot. But when the caliper slides need to be lubed, you can really tell because it starts to brake a little bit more one way or the other. And I did just start going about an 1/8 inch toed out in the rear. I used to be 0, and that does make it dance a little bit more. But man, the rotation helps a little bit. Oh, it's getting there. Getting the stupid thing to rotate just so you can go wide open throttle just a little bit earlier. That's what you have to do, man.
It's perfect, man.
Yeah, you got to make it drive like a rear-wheel drive car, I guess.
Except the fun with front-wheel drive car is that you don't have to worry about when you get on the throttle as much.
Yeah, because you're just steering with you're trying to fix things with the gas.
This is great. Yeah, like I had a student, a single session beginner at Grid Life. And the car started getting loose, and I'd be like, stay in it, and he wouldn't do it, and we looped it on the inside of turn 2. And then the next time it came loose, it was around 11, and I was like, stay in it, and he started like clawing himself out of the turn. I was like, see, that's what I told you. Yeah, and he was like, oh, it makes so much sense now, but it feels so wrong.
It does. It's hard. It's really hard to teach at first, and that's why a lot of our front wheel drive beginners at Honda Meet and Grid Life, which are, for people that don't know us, events that we both have worked with forever, kind of. My buddy Chris started Honda Meet, 2000. I think our first track event was 2004. So I've been tracking with them forever.
I think I just got my license in 2004.
I had my first track event in 2001 when I was 20.
I think I was 13.
Yeah, you're a wee little boy. You probably still had a faster car than I did.
No,
you're 13.
When I was 14, I got a Jeep Wrangler that I bought from my godfather.
It was probably faster than my car when I was 19. But a lot of our beginners, they set up their cars just a little bit. They set it up like the internet tells them to, and then they have a tough time figuring out how to actually drive them. And really, the only fast way to drive a front-wheel drive car is to make it just a little bit loose. Otherwise, you're plowing and pushing, and you're mid-pack, and everybody. You really got to grow into it, though. It's not something you can just teach a beginner.
No.
I had one student the first time we did like the parade. This is like a Honda Meet 8, and we did a parade lap, at first back then, and so you'd follow one of the instructors. That was like the one year we did a parade lap. Or parade session. It was just a lead follow session, and then I hopped in with him for his first session where it wasn't lead follow, and he hits the blend line, and he's following the blend line, and he loops it in the blend line. He didn't know how to use the throttle very much.
Oops.
Yeah, loops it in the blend line backwards off into the dirt inside of turn 2. But
it's okay, man. I was guilty of the same thing. My first track day. I guess it was my second track day. First track day was all right. Second track day it rained. And it was like probably 8 months after my first track day. And so
that's intimidating.
All my skills were gone, anything that you've built up. 8 months later, you don't have it. It's like skiing. If you go skiing once, like 1 or 2 days, 1 year, and then you try and go back next year, you hardly remember anything.
Yep, you got to relearn everything.
Yeah. So it was raining and everything, and I kept spinning out. Luckily, I kept it on the track, and we do 1 or 360s and be ending the direction we were going. I was super surprised. I don't know how I was doing it, and my instructor didn't either. He gave me props for that, but I kept blaming the car. And I was like, oh, it must be the alignment or tire pressures and stuff. I just didn't realize that I didn't have the experience. And then the best thing that ever spoke to me, and I'm glad that I found this out early on. There was some Rolex driver or something that was there instructing a higher class GTS driver. We were out in the rain, and he was in a little Renault Corolla, like at the end of our first day, and I'm out there driving around. I'm going around this carousel at MSR Houston, and there's this like freaking Corolla on my ass. I'm like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
And like I wave him by, and he goes by me and disappears, and I'm like, what the hell? Like I'm in an S2000. I am an awesome driver. Who? What the heck is going on? And turns out it was that pro driver that had been hired, to instruct, somebody else that weekend, and I'm glad I learned that early on.
Seasons. Yeah.
So.
But, the first good rain session I had, I did one full day in the rain, Honda Meet 7, and then I was instructing for Chin Motorsports at Autobahn, I don't know, 2010 maybe, and it rained a lot. My students had cars with traction control and brand new Z28. It was like the first year of the Z28. The car was like a week old. And then some Saab with some fancy freaking Swedish traction control and all this. And so they were hustling around. It wasn't a problem, and we just tried to keep them on the track, right? And then I'm out there in my Civic, and I'm just kind of struggling. And I had hit a wall earlier that year, and it was just I wasn't feeling it. Maybe 2011. I hit the wall at Carolina Motorsports Park. Instructing with ITR Expo. It wasn't bad, just paintless dent repair, new door, new fender kind of stuff. But I was still in that like spooked stage after you hit something, your first time you hit something on a racetrack, it spooks you for a long time. Now if you lose a wheel and flip the car upside down like 2 days later, you're like, well, 2 hours later, 2 hours later, if you got something to sit in and drive, you're fine.
Yeah.
The first one spooked me a long time, and then I got to Chin in the rainy day, and then I chased a Spec Miata driver, Chris Weber's husband. What's
Mike?
His name? I can't remember. Mike. Yeah. I chased him in his. He was in his. They had an old Spec Miata, like an NA.
Was it the blue one?
It was like red and blue.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
But they sold that one a while ago.
Yeah, and they sold the blue one a while back too.
He was on. I think he was on something with no lines left, like Dead Hoosiers or Dead whatever they were running back then, and
no telling with them.
It was awe-inspiring just to watch him muscle the thing around.
Yeah.
And like that broke me of like my 4 event kind of like funk. Like whenever the tail would walk around, I would start to like, clam up and my blood pressure would spike. So. But yeah, following him around Autobahn in the it was like buckets of rain, just pouring rain. And sometimes you just gotta follow a fast guy, man. There's nothing like learning from somebody that is just completely comfortable. He was in his element.
Yeah.
And he showed me how to not go for the shiny water, to go for like the matte finish pavement and stay away from the puddles. But I could barely keep up.
You can really learn a lot following. That's for sure.
I literally had double the horsepower this dude had.
So this was in your Civic?
Yeah, it was my Civic. My Civic was naturally aspirated at the time, but it was still probably 170 horsepower.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun to follow him, man. I'll never forget being broken of that like jitteriness, from that first big crash I had. But it takes a while after you hit the wall the first time, and then especially you jump into a rain situation. Ugh. That was spooky at first.
I must have some sort of mental issue because I wrecked my car for the first time at Mid-Ohio in the rain in 2012 in April. Yep. And then 3 weeks later, I was at Global Time Attack in Atlanta and hit the wall there. Literally 3 weeks later. Those are the only 2 things that I've hit in the car.
Yeah.
But 3 weeks apart, and that's right after that is when we were doing all the alignments in the tech shed every
night.
I
remember that, yeah.
And I think the fact that I had already wrecked the car just made me be like, whatever. If I wreck it again, no big deal. And that's when I started getting really fast.
A lot of my mental block was like, I think I was more embarrassed than anything because I was instructing at that day when I hit the wall the first time, because I had been tracking for like 10 years. I just never hit anything. Mm-hmm. And I was always, in the top 5 faster guys, and so I thought I was hot shit. And I think my ego drops more and more every year.
Really?
I think I'm slower and slower every year, even though I'm like lap times say I'm not. But like I get more and more down on myself. But I think it's also like you lose some of the adrenaline rush, and you start to look at it from the outside in. Like you're looking at every turn less seat of the pants and more data wise. and you start to feel slower. And I think that's when I've picked up a lot of my speed in the last few years, figuring out my CRX.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it was way more mental after I hit the wall the first time than like, I mean, I didn't give a crap about the car. I fixed the car for like $100. I had the parts in my little personal junkyard of Honda junk. But yeah, I think it was way more mental than give a crap about the stupid 14, 18-year-old Honda.
Yeah. You know, I was talking to Jason earlier, and I think for me, it's getting to the point where I'm not so worried about wrecking the car. Getting hurt wrecking the car. I'm worried now about how much it's going to cost me when I do wreck the car.
Yeah, it's not cheap to wreck a car, man. I think that's part of the reason I play with the old Hondas is they really are totally cheap. Like, they're as cheap as they get.
Yeah.
And I've never had a brand new set of Hoosiers, but I've also came in second place to the guy that had the brand new set of Hoosiers or BF Goodriches or whatever.
Makes you wonder, what if, right?
Yeah, a lot of people say it's like a 2-second difference sometimes.
Wow.
And a couple weeks ago at SCCA Race at Gingerman, I was about 1 second behind the guy that had free BF Goodriches because his dad's a multi-time national champion and he's a kart champion and he's good and he was fast, and it does make you wonder what if. But I do have free tires on the car most of the time. So free meaning no one else wants them, not they gave them to me.
Hey, it makes you feel good though, being able to perform that well with relatively little money and what some would consider lesser equipment, right?
I think next year I'm going to try to run with good tires at the runoffs. Next year's going to be like the year that I tried to do the national championship, but I kind of ascribe to the if it's not fun, don't do it theory. And it's more fun to run on cheap tires than it is to not have entry fee money.
Yeah, right. I'd rather be running on something than not running at all, right?
Yeah, it's better to race and get third and be the cheapest guy in the paddock than it is to not race.
I think it's probably better to race and get last.
Oh yeah, it's like the worst day, like actually wheel to wheel racing is like still one of your better days on track, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You ran time trial stuff with NASA, and basically that's wheel-to-wheel racing, and it's way different than your HPDE sessions. But
yeah,
even with you tooling around in your Jetta wagon, it's still a better day than working.
You know, I had more fun in the wagon in the rain.
You were running like the same lap times as you were in the dry and the wet with that thing.
I don't know. I never ran it in the dry.
You never took it out in the dry?
No, that video when Matt was there was my buddy Chris driving it. Yeah. I drove everyone else's car that day. I just didn't get to drive my own.
Yeah, the freaking diesel wagon on All Seasons or whatever you got it on.
I still haven't seen pictures of 5 people in that thing going around the track. I mean, not 5 people, awesome. one passenger.
I've seen like selfie pictures, but I never saw any pictures of you guys while you were out there. Well, I was on the radio when I was on the radio the whole freaking weekend because I was running the track portion. But one of the corner workers calls in and says, "I think they've got people in the back seat." I think they have 3 people in the back seat.
For those of you that don't know, it rained all day Saturday at Grid Life, and I thought it'd be a good idea to show some students, we'll go with students, how to drive Gingerman in the rain. And the most effective way to do that was to cram 4 of them in the wagon at one given time. So, just out there tinkering in the rain, 4 other people in the car driving around, showing them what to do.
Yeah, passing everybody, multitasking. You can call it multitasking.
Yeah, there
showing
you go.
Lots of people the line.
That's the most effective use of time.
I really wish I could have been following you guys out there. That would have been fun.
It was great, man. I think through 7 and 8, the whole car was just like 4-wheel drifting to the outside of the track. It was kind of sketchy, but
that's what you want.
The problem with the wagon is that the throttle and the inputs for everything, it's so slow that even if it would have started, like the rear end would have started coming around, it doesn't have the throttle response to be able to claw its way out of it using the throttle.
Have you done anything with that thing power-wise?
No, it's bone stock power-wise.
Yeah. What do you have on their suspension?
They're just H&R coilovers. They're height adjustable, but they're not none of the dampening's adjustable. I got them on Craigslist for like $350.
That's the best option right
So,
there.
oh yeah.
I'm going to move to the office here quick.
All right.
You'll probably still be able to see and hear me. I got to plug my computer in. I forgot to do that.
Uh-oh. Dies right in the middle of the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this podcasting thing yet.
I'll practice my intros.
For the past year or so, I've been thinking about doing it, or 6 months probably, I've been thinking about doing a podcast. And this is kind of the reason that we're actually doing it, is because you wanted to do one. Because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. But how long have you been listening to podcasts and stuff?
Podcast? Automotive podcast, probably about a year and a half. Pretty much since I got my iPhone, I guess January of last year when I got my iPhone 5S. I was like, I'm going to start doing podcasts now that I have more data when I'm traveling. Because for those of you that don't know, I do about 1,200 miles a week most weeks in my car for work. So this is what I do. I listen to podcasts now.
Yeah, I work solo kind of for the most part. I'm by myself, and I'm probably screwing this mic up. But, yeah, a lot of times I'll just listen to. Lately, I listened to a lot of Joe Rogan and Adam Carolla and CarCast and Smoking Tire and stuff like that. But I kind of got sick of Sirius XM, even though there's several shows on there I like a lot. But there's so much crap out there for podcasting. It's just right there.
It's very surprising, isn't it? Like until you get into the world of podcasting, you don't really realize how much content there actually is.
Yeah, I wonder how many shows there actually are. It's got to be thousands.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we're going to try to keep this one, if we actually ever put this one up, we're going to try to keep this more track focused and about the kind of what you talk about in the paddock around your race car and stuff like that. So, but
I think next time we need to be drinking some beers, just like we would at the track.
I was just going to say maybe we need to actually act like we're in the paddock and imbibe a little bit. But.
And I'll have to send some Georgia beer up to you, and then you can send some Chicago beer.
Yeah, we got some pretty famous breweries around us. We got the Three Floyds and a bunch of them.
We've got Terrapin out in Athens, which is like an hour from my house, and then we have Sweetwater, which is 30 minutes from the house down in Atlanta.
And you start bringing that stuff up to Michigan when you come up and play with your car.
I think I'll do that for West Michigan, actually.
Yeah, probably the next time. That'll be the next time you're up at the racetrack, isn't it?
Yeah, I wanted to try and make Grid Life too, but I don't think I'm going to be able to just because of my sister's wedding.
Yeah, and that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, I thought about not going, but
that would look pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it looks like we're going to do, basically for background, if anybody doesn't know, I am kind of the guy that's in charge of the track portion of West Michigan Honda Meet and all the Grid Life events. So I don't get to drive a whole lot, but we're doing a time attack series. This is our first year doing a multi-round series, and round 2 is next weekend, which would be June 27, 28, I think, at Autobahn Country Club in Joliet, Illinois, which thankfully is close to me, but I'll probably be driving a little bit just for fun, but I'm not competing because I'm doing the announcing and commentary at the Time Attack series. I think we're going to try it. We're not going to do a serious Time Attack at Honda Meet. I thought it was going to be round 3, but it's going to kind of be a little bit more informal. And then our actual track battle round 3 is going to be likely in October. Chris has a date reserved, but he hasn't announced it yet. So
I'll have to keep my schedule open for that one.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be a weekend because we only really do weekends. But
right,
hopefully that'll be like we're gonna try to push the time attack and the drift format more. And obviously less of the car show kind of stuff, but we'll see. The Autobahn event's going to be big with the car show stuff. But if Austin can get up to one of these other events, maybe he can do the commentary with me.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we can't pay Matt Farah to come out and talk to every one of them. He's not free because he's pretty awesome and stuff. But that was a lot of fun getting to know Matt a little bit. And yeah, I wish I would have known where he was drinking that night. I think it was with you somewhere.
Yeah, we went down to Clementine's, maybe.
Oh, that place rules.
Yeah, they have a nice bar, and
yeah, they do.
You know, he was a really cool guy. I mean, he bought us all the first round, which was real nice of him.
Yeah, I've used that bar a few times.
Yeah, it was actually packed there. We had to go hang out at the bar before we got a table.
That place is always packed on weekends.
I mean, hanging out with Matt was actually probably one of the highlights of the weekend. Just because, you know, I'd never met him before, kind of knew who he was, but never had really obviously gotten to talk to him. And a lot cooler guy in person than I thought he'd be.
Yeah,
super chill. I mean, essentially, it was just like one of us.
Yeah, and I think he might have rubbed a couple people the wrong way because he didn't like their cars a little bit. But I think he's more of a goof than anything. He was that dude loves cars, man. I've been kind of addicted to getting in YouTube loops now of watching his reviews.
And you got to think too. I mean, at the end of the day, he is running a business.
Yeah,
so
he's got to be entertaining.
He knows what sells. Yeah.
Yeah, he could freaking wheel too, man.
Yeah.
He'd never been on that track before, and he was hustling him a little bit too. He'd never been a Gingerman before.
I mean, I think I was thinking about it. He gets more seat time than any of us do, probably combined.
Seriously, even if it's 5 minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a time. A lot of it's on public roads and stuff, but yeah, he picked up Gingerman pretty quick.
Yeah.
He offered to let me drive that M235i or whatever it was that he had, and I probably should have taken him up on it because it looked like it was actually fun in the drive.
Yeah,
I just watched that video.
I think Anish got to drive it. Anish and Andrew Mishra went out in it. I think Anish was driving, but
I didn't even know what that car was. I thought it was just some 3 Series, but I guess it's kind of a hot shit 3 Series.
Yeah, well, it's a 2 Series, so it's like smaller. It's like the old 1 Series.
Yeah,
but BMW is doing some crazy naming stuff.
If a car doesn't have front wheel drive and lameness built in the 1980s, I'm not interested. So it has to be completely devoid of all awesome in order for me to think it's a cool car. What were we going to talk about? We were going to talk about drivers meetings.
Oh, yeah, the drivers meeting stuff.
Yeah, I was going to type up a drivers meeting, but I'm such an idiot. I don't know how to do that and also do Skype and also do the recording program.
No, we could just record a drivers meeting and just have everyone listen to it beforehand and then just play it over the speakers.
Well, yeah, or we could just talk about all the crappy drivers meetings that I've hosted and what I missed. But I guess we don't even have to talk about that. But what were they saying that I sucked at last time? Maybe actually I didn't even do the flags, but they said we need to be a little bit clearer with the flags. I didn't give Chrissy a mic when she did the flags.
Which
either
you and I were talking about something that might solve that. So we'll wait for that. But
yeah, we're gonna see if we can come up with a good flag solution, like an in-car flag solution that might be useful, especially for noob drivers and guys that forget what the flags mean that have been tracking for 14 years. Once in a while, I pass a flag station. I'm like, what does that one mean again?
I don't know what that one means.
And you're trying not to hit the next car, and you think, what was that red and white stripe again?
I forget.
Red and white stripe. What's the red and white stripe?
What is that?
Yeah, that will happen. I see it, with my stupid cars. I see the blue passing flag more and more often at HPDs because everybody brings these guns to knife fights, and I got 132 horsepower, and I'm out there with ZR1s and stuff.
You mean the one that means there's a race going on and you're not in it?
Yeah, the passing flag. That's the one that I see.
Oh, is this like football? Like go deep? Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hail Mary. Oh, look at this. Facebook isn't responding. My phone is on fire.
Oh, no.
Oh, my terrible old phone.
Just pull it up on your computer.
But I don't know how to do other things on this computer. There's so many things going on.
Do one more thing, it's going to die.
Yeah, I think the main thing that we try to put across, I guess like the first part of if somebody's listening to this and it's going to, I mean, we'll probably end up redoing this anyway, but if somebody's listening to this and they're going into their first track event, I think the main thing that we want to do is urge them to be safe and keep it on the racetrack and stuff. But so many drivers meetings are so boring.
Yeah,
and you just want to cut your throat because the guy's been saying the same thing for 40 years. You know, he's a 65-year-old dude that doesn't care about the drivers' meeting, but somebody's got to do the drivers' meeting.
For Grid Life next year, we should hire some actors and have a skit.
I don't know if we have the budget for that. That event's pretty expensive already.
Okay, well we can act. How's that?
I am a terrible actor. I'll just wing it again.
I can have a cardboard Corvette cut out. You know, we can pretend like we're driving on track in front of everyone.
We could get some Barbie cars.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Barbie car, put everybody up in the tower, and they could watch us as we direct around spray painted racetrack with Barbie cars.
For those of you that don't know, here on Track Midwest earlier, about an hour ago, I made a post asking if people saw anything or wish that things happened at drivers' meetings that didn't.
Because drivers'
some
meetings,
of the responses are pretty good.
Everybody always wants to be interested in something, and a drivers' meeting is never interesting. I try to keep it a little bit light and stuff, but we get the first thing that everybody does on their first track event is blow the blend line, and most tracks have a blend line where you're entering the racetrack. You got to stay to the left or the right or whatever, because there might be traffic that's faster than you passing you before you actually enter the racing surface. At Gingerman, it's off to the left. You got to stay to the left until the end of the blend line, and a lot of people don't do that, and that could be a problem. So that was one suggestion.
Now, I wonder if they're going to extend that blend line at Gingerman with the new repave.
I haven't seen any in-car footage from the new track. It's only like a week old, but I don't think they need to extend it. It's already almost to the straightaway, but I think they need to maybe make it
wider a little bit.
Yeah, I was thinking if they move the blend line in a little bit, that might be better. Because sometimes it's pretty narrow there. But
yeah.
I don't think they made the track wider at all. They did change some curbing, so I'm kind of curious to see what it's like. But what else do we got here? Yeah, we get the stop drag racing, the people you point by, even if they're faster in straights. That's a big one.
It's pretty typical, especially in HPD 1, 2 type scenarios.
Yeah, the intermediate group is always, you get the 600 horsepower guys, the 400 horsepower guys, and the 82 horsepower guys. That's always good. And then, we got Phil telling us that the Miata is simply the answer. Well, we should probably emphasize that in the drivers' meetings, that everybody should buy a Miata, and then you'd be awesome, because Miata guys are awesome. Everybody knows Miata's awesome. Yeah, we always talk about the corner workers. You got to look at the corner workers. Got to look at the corner workers. They're everywhere, and so many people never pay attention to them. I think everybody's just complaining about how there's way too many fast cars passing them in their 200 horsepower cars.
And the other thing, not letting off once you give a point by. I know, especially like at Gingerman, coming out of the new 10 back onto the back straight, like my S2000 and a bunch of cars, they just don't have the power to get by anybody there. So if you're going to give a point by, let off a little bit, because there's some cars that just can't get by you. It doesn't mean that they don't want to. It means that they just physically can't get by you. Because if that happens, then they think that you want to stay behind them, and you go around for like lap after lap after lap, and it can just be frustrating for everybody.
Yeah, if I had $1 for every time that happened to me.
Which brings me to another thing about, if something like that happens, you can always come in and ask for more space. There's no harm in that.
Yeah, gotta put your arms out wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, give me some space.
Yeah, unless you're racing, then you don't want to come in.
Yeah.
Then you'll lose. You'll lose even worse than I normally do.
Can you imagine wheel-to-wheel racing having to wait for point buys?
No, that would be so boring.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
But although at places like Mid-Ohio where there's like no place to pass, that would be nice if you actually got a point by once in a while.
Yeah, right.
My first race weekend a few years ago, I was stuck behind he got me in the start because I'm still terrible at starts. I always just try not to get hit because start's a little bit of a mess. You get two cars next to each other. You're behind the pace car. Pace car comes in. As soon as you see the green flag, everybody just bunches up. And the main thing is to not get hit because you can lose at the start a whole lot more than you can win. But I got stuck behind this ITA Escort, and I just couldn't pass the guy. There's no place to pass. He had like one more horsepower than me, and I could get him in every turn. And by the time I finally got around him, it was because I scared him just enough that he went into the sand. But man, it'd be nice to get a point by in racing once.
I know, right? What if it was a point by like mandated by the officials? That'd make things really interesting.
That I don't think that's how racing works.
No. That's how team orders work in F1 though, right?
It would be nice. It would be good. In a Lemons race one time, we're buddies with another team, and they asked us to see it. I think they were running third, and I'm not going to say their name in case Lemons guys are. I'm not going to say my team's name right now either in this story. But I think they were running third, and we were running like 28th or something. And they asked us if we could maybe hold up a car and maybe see if we could get them to go off track a little bit, because they were like one lap behind first and second place. That didn't end up panning out, but sometimes sometimes you need to have some buddies out there looking out for you when you're actually wheel to wheel racing.
That helps a little bit, right?
It's not good sportsmanship to take somebody out though. They might have suggested. They didn't ask, but they wondered if we were willing. Anyway, yeah, if my wife just got back from exercising. She's probably wondering what the hell I'm doing. What is he doing?
Who is that? Jake from State Farm?
Yeah, what are you wearing, Jake?
Khakis.
Yeah, although I can't see any pants on you, Austin. You might be free balling over there.
Oh, I forgot the camera was on. I'm glad I'm not like scratching myself.
Yeah, you need to keep that camera up.
There we go. Yeah, I had minimized the Skype camera.
Yeah, is that minimization, or are you just not happy to see me, Austin? Anyway, what else do we want to talk about during our first stab at this thing?
Let's see, more drivers meeting stuff. Looks like people would like to know which corner stations will be manned that day.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
we can do that.
yeah. So these are things that people would like to see covered. Sometimes they're covered, other times they're not.
These. Yeah, I'm going to try to cover these in a driver's meeting because I have to do one in a week and a half.
Let's see, Andy with the Evo says you need to have 2 drivers meetings, one covering basics for everyone, then another for beginners covering everything more in depth, which is I think what usually happens.
That's what we always do.
Yeah, with beginners and stuff like that.
Yep. We try to get that done.
Mr. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have typically we have a full nother meeting Luke does with the beginners and then pairs them with their instructors and all that stuff.
Right.
So,
Mr. Upham says they rarely mention if the flag is a command or an advisory. Mentally at speed, a novice knowing the difference would help, I think.
Yep.
So, which is completely true. A black flag is usually more of a command for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
A passing flag is kind of an advisory and kind of a command. It's kind of a hybrid. Yep. So I think he's absolutely correct there.
You got another advisory like the what is it? The surface flag that would usually be red and white stripes.
Right.
I think where there's
debris
junk on the surface.
or if it's going sideways, it's usually slippery or something, oil, something like that.
Yep. If they're waving anything frantically, it's usually a pay attention to me kind of thing.
Right.
Like the frantic waving yellow means there's somebody on track right in front of you, and then just the standing yellow is just kind of look ahead and there might be something going on. And then there's that red flag that you hope to never see. We've seen it a few times at our events, usually because somebody lit something on fire, like their brakes or whatever,
right?
Or pulled off into the racing line on fire,
right?
But yeah, you hope that never happens.
Never.
Several years ago, that actually happened, and then Cody from Love Fab, he was driving a red Civic, like with a turbo B series or something he just threw together that week, and he stops right by turn 1, and I happen to be at the flag station there, and he looks at me like, what am I supposed to do? Because his brakes started pouring. He had like these brand new brakes on, like Willwood something or others. They started pouring smoke out, and he thought they were actually on fire. and the flag wasn't for him. It was just a stop flag, all red. And I think we try not to go full track red after that because Cody lit his car on fire almost. But yeah, I forget what the red was even for. I think somebody got out of their car.
That was another thing that I had written down.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Unless you need to do that, then you definitely need to do that.
Stay in your car unless it's on fire.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, if it's on fire, then get out.
Yeah.
Get out real fast.
Like I think Pat Reyes had to do a couple years ago at one of the.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Was that a Wangfest event? Maybe.
I think that might have been. He went off deep in the new section, I think.
Yeah, he actually a brake rotor failed on him, and he went right off instead of taking the new 10. Just went right off, like real far back in there.
Didn't his brake rotor just like cut itself in half? Like
like it sheared itself at the hub.
Yeah, if you're looking at the circle, it turned into like two C shapes.
Yeah.
It like broke directly across the entire rotor.
Yeah.
And it locked up the one wheel. He went off in the new section at Gingerman, and then I think he lit a bunch of grass on fire.
Right.
But his car was fine. I think it was covered in a lot of halon or whatever they used in the fire.
Yeah, actually, he didn't want to drive it back because of the fumes, so I actually trailered it back for him.
Yeah.
And luckily,
my
car was still street legal at the time, and he drove my car back with headphones in. Back to Chicago, so
your car was pretty loud back when you used to track your S2000.
Yeah, it was, and then right before Nationals, they put that stock exhaust back on. So, and it's been stock exhaust ever since. But
the stock exhaust
for a while there, it was real loud and rowdy.
Yeah. How many times did you do NASA Nationals? Just once?
Just once, yeah, and almost won. That was my rookie year with NASA time trials.
Was it TTC you were in?
Yeah, TTC, almost won, had a good lap going, and then...
you went off?
Yeah, kind of threw it away. If you watch Jason Kohler's in-car video from Nationals that year, from time trials, he was behind me. And you can see clearly that he throws a banana out in front of me, and I spin and lose control on that and go off. So.
Love it when you employ the Mario Kart.
It's definitely Jason's fault. So
yeah. Did he end up winning that year?
Yeah, well, he won a class up from me. He was running TTB that year.
Oh, that's right.
And that was the beginning. He won Honda Challenge National Championship and TTB that year. And then the following year, he won PTE and TTE.
That's pretty good. So,
yeah, 4 championships in 2 years. Not too bad.
Yeah, he's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
Was that in the same car?
No.
He won. He run Honda Challenge and TT in the same year, or did he have 2 cars there?
Yeah. So both those years, it was always just the one car. The first year at Mid Ohio was the S2000, and then the year after that was the Miata that he had built that winter before.
That was a Miller. He won the other one. Okay. Yeah, I remember I bought some tires off of him right after Miller. Actually, Calzada bought some tires off him. I dismounted him for him. Because Jason was in town for Thanksgiving, and he came over, and he was talking about Miller and how awesome it was. Which hopefully that place isn't closing down. I heard it might be.
Yeah, for those of you listening that didn't know, it's been in the news recently, but apparently, I guess Miller is owned by the city of Salt Lake City or Tulane, Utah, or whatever.
Yeah, the land is. Yeah,
but it's leased, right? Yeah.
Yep, it's leased land, and yep.
And the company that was leasing it decided not to renew their lease. So
yeah, the Miller Group decided they don't want to deal with it anymore because basically everybody that cares about cars in that family has died. So
man,
that kind of sucks.
Sad to see.
Hopefully they keep doing something with it.
It's a great facility too. I mean, the mountains in the background, like snow capped almost all year, just makes for some amazing pictures. No, I've just seen pictures.
Yeah,
I've been to the area, but I've never been to the track.
I think the only person I know that's driven there is Jason. And he seemed to like it, but
it's very, very fast. At least the configuration that they were running in 2013, which was when it was there.
Yeah, a lot of people would probably be pretty bummed in that area too. There's a couple threads on a couple of the forums that I'm on that there's local guys really hoping that doesn't happen. But
yeah, I mean, because you're kind of, I don't want to say you're in the middle of nowhere there, but there's very few tracks when you get out west until you get to California.
Yeah,
losing something like that.
There.
Yeah. So
even if it's an expensive place, you can't get to very often.
You know who has been there is Stephen Doherty, the guy that won GT Academy out of Chicago in 2012, 2013, something like that. He raced World Challenge out there with Nissan. So maybe we'll have to get him on the show sometime.
I've never met him before.
So yeah, actually when we had the Track Midwest forum going, he registered and got in touch with me, and I went karting with him and let him autocross the Miata. So got to spend a decent amount of time with him. I was really happy for him.
What show was that? The one that was involved with Gran Turismo?
Yeah.
That show.
Yep. So GT Academy. Same thing with Brian Highcotter, who's on Road Race Autocross. He
Brian's
won the year
on
before.
One of the forums. Brian's on one of the forums that I'm on. The forum that's not supposed to be named.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I just broke a rule, didn't I?
No, I don't think you named it. Did you name that forum?
I think I did. We'll have to listen.
Whatever.
I can mute it. I'll just mute it.
No, I don't think anybody actually cares anymore.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Brian can wheel, man. He almost won solo nationals again last year in his base in like boring 300ZX. That was
the 300ZX. Which has he sold that yet? I know I saw it for sale. That thing was gorgeous.
Oh, so pretty.
Because he's in what, the 350Z now?
Yeah, they bought some newer car. I think it was a 350.
I think it had won STR Nationals the year before.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
So I mean, you get an amazing driver and a well set up car, and you're set. Maybe we'll talk to him and see if we can get him on here sometime too.
Yeah, if we end up doing a lot of these, we need to talk to people. So when we're probably going to have to post this one because it's not that terrible.
Yeah, I think so.
We're just.
If anyone's interested in coming on the show and think that they might have anything to be able to contribute, you can reach either Adam or I on Facebook, or we also have email addresses now. Mine is austin@slipangleshow.com. And what's yours, Adam?
What's mine? I think it's just Adam at the same thing. You set it up.
Yeah, I think it's adam@slipangleshow.com.
Yeah.
So bear with us. It's going to be kind of some growing pains here at the beginning, but I think we should be able to produce some good content. I hope.
I'm so bad at technology, but I think we're figuring this out.
It's too bad I still don't live in Chicago.
Yeah, that would be way easier.
We could be.
Although you lived about an hour from me.
Yeah, that's true. We can meet in the middle.
That's a long way to go to talk for an hour.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, an hour is nothing though. I mean, I drove that a couple times.
Yep.
So
I think my computer just says disk space remains for recording 47 hours and 41 minutes. So we can only do 47 of these.
Only 40. Okay. We could just make this one 47 hours.
No, I can't talk that long. I'm already thirsty.
Okay. So we'll definitely need some beer next time.
Yeah, we probably should. What do we got? We're going on almost 50 minutes.
Yeah, I'm looking at like 47 minutes so far.
We need to have like a minute of dead air here, just so that we can act like we're noobs. Yeah, if this ends up being something we do a whole heck of a lot of, we'll hopefully be doing one every week if we can squeeze time in. That would be nice. But yeah, we do need to talk to some people and figure out the tech behind how do you interview somebody at one of these without sounding like you're on the phone with them. But.
I mean, I guess we can always start with local people too.
Yeah, we can. One of them can go to you or me.
Yeah,
we got. You're in Georgia. There's Road Atlanta down there. There's a lot of road racers.
I mean, I'm here in Atlanta. Actually, I met Lee.
You're probably somewhere else now, aren't you?
No, I'm actually at home. Luckily,
nice.
But we leave Saturday for Florida.
Okay, what are you doing down there?
My sister's getting married.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's next weekend.
So
whereabouts in Florida are you going?
Jacksonville. So just north Jacksonville, where my parents live. Amelia Island, where they have the Concours d'Elegance every year.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
So yeah, so it's
I got a buddy in Jacksonville. Maybe you can go interview him.
That'd work.
He and I raced at the VIR 13 hour last year. I think he's in Jacksonville.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's in Jacksonville. All those, or maybe it's St. Augustine. Those are right next to each other.
Yeah, St. Augustine's like 40 minutes south of Jacksonville, so it's not too bad.
I think he's in St. Augustine, not Jacksonville.
Okay.
But,
so no, I mean I think there's a lot that we can do with it. So
yeah, plenty of people to talk to.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully we'll have a few sponsors in here. Right now, basically, this is brought to you by the $30 microphones that we bought, or $40, whatever. And then Grid Life and West Michigan Honda Mate and all of the things that we try to promote. But yeah, just kind of talking and trying to make ourselves a little podcast.
I think we'll title this one, This Is Just a Test.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's a good title.
Yeah. Not an emergency broadcast system, but
it's definitely not an emergency. Nothing's happening.
I guess we could start it off with that sound.
That's a terrible noise.
Yeah. Yeah, people wouldn't get through everything. They just turn it off right then.
It's probably free
noise.
It is
probably free.
You probably have to pay licensing for that. But anyway, well, I'm getting tired and my voice is going. So you want to call this one?
Yep, I think we will.
All right. Well, we'll figure out other things to talk about and hopefully do another one of these in a few days.
Yep.
So.
I think so.
All right, buddy. I'm gonna turn this off.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. And stay tuned for more in the next couple weeks. All right. Appreciate it, Adam.